Welcome to the official podcast for Badin and the Secret of the Saami. On this show, we'll talk about all things relating to the revolutionary historical fiction graphic novel, Badin and the Secret of the Saami. Have you read this book? If so, we want to talk to you. Contact us through the Badin and the Secret of the Saami website, www.badinsecret.com. Support the October book tour in Sweden. Eric, the author, that's me, needs to raise 14,000 US dollars in order to pay for books and travel expenses throughout the entire month as he goes through the country talking about this graphic novel and talking about this 200-year-old Swedish legend, Badin. Every contribution will get you a free digital PDF of Badin and the Secret of the Saami. For more information and to see other rewards, go to www.gofundme.com/BadinSecret. This is the final part of the Badin and the Secret of the Saami podcast interview with Swedish activist Gursimer Singh. Listen as we continue talking about the realities of life for those who don't necessarily look Swedish, even though they were born in Sweden. His story is important, as men and women like him will be a part of the generation that takes Europe into its next stage of societal evolution. So, Gursimer, if I'm making a good amount of money, and I'm a dark-skinned Swede, right? I'm a Swede of foreign background. And I'm making some good money. I got a nice job. And I actually see a nice flat, a nice apartment there in Stockholm. Am I going to be able to get it if I can afford it?
Yes, of course, that wouldn't be a problem at all. Of course, as long as you have money, that won't be a problem. But I could say one thing. If you have a foreign name, like a name from Middle East, for example, or another name that is non-Western name, so to say, if it's happened that you get a house in a place where there's lots of white Swedes, whenever they see like more and more non-white people moving in, it happens that the white people are actually moving out. They could be okay if it's like maximum one or two people with a non-white background. But if there are more and more non-white people who are moving into a only white people per town, more of them will actually move out.
So, let me ask this. If I've got money, I've got a nice job, I got references, but my last name is Mohammed.
Yeah.
What do you think? Am I going to get that apartment?
Yeah, sure. Of course. Again, you will get an apartment. That's not a problem. But I'm not 100% sure if it's, if it's like private apartment companies or whatever you call them. I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps you get it. I mean, again, if you have money, that's fine.
The government regulates the owning of the apartments?
No, but there's lots of government-owned apartments and houses, for example.
Well, let's say luxury. Oh, do they own luxury apartments? I mean, really fancy ones.
Some, I would say, not all, but most of them are also from a part of the private house and apartment sector. You know, some have already bought them and trying to sell them by themselves.
And so now here's what I want to understand is, okay, fine. You know, you got, a lot of non-white Swedes moving in to the neighborhood, and then you got a lot of white Swedes saying, "Man, I'm out of here. I can't stand this." Okay, so what? They move out, and then the neighborhood changes demographically.
exactly.
But what's the problem? I mean, what's happening to where it gets to the point where these non-white Swedes are living, and the services are breaking down. The it becomes a difficult place to live in and a difficult place to improve. What's going on in the background there?
Well, it's a very good question. Well, also, just to be clear, that in recent times, in my suburbs, more and more, hipster whiteys are like moving into suburbs because it's like trendy. So
Hmm.
it's a very difficult question, you know. The why they are doing so, I don't know. I have no answer for that. Why they are moving out because
So
of
let me okay, so here in the Chicago area in Illinois, United States, we
yeah,
have distinct neighborhoods for skin color. It's not like a sign. There's no sign. There's no, map. But
yeah, I get it. Yeah,
yeah, oh, I'm on the
yeah,
west. I'm on the west side. I'm on parts of the south side, and I know I'm in the black neighborhood. I know I'm in the Latino neighborhood. I know I'm in the white neighborhood.
yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Um, and when you're in the black neighborhood, for example, um, don't have anything wrong with your car. Nothing. Don't have a license plate sticker that's old. Don't have a broken mirror. Don't you dare be parked a little bit near a fire hydrant, cause you're gonna get ticketed.
yeah,
And you're gonna get ticketed. In fact, you're gonna get ticketed for riding a bike down the wrong way on the street in the black neighborhood.
yeah,
If it's 10 minutes, we have parking meters. Does that
yeah,
Yeah, you got that there, right? Where you put money in the meter and you can park there
yeah,
for. Okay,
yeah,
so your meter runs out 5 minutes later, guaranteed. If you don't refill that meter, man, you getting a ticket.
yeah,
Um, it's hard to be a black person in the South Side of Chicago, and the potholes are all over the place in the street. And if
yeah,
the lights don't always work at night on the street, and if there's a problem, you call the city, and it's like, okay, we'll be out there, maybe. So I mean, you see, that's what I'm saying. Is that if it's not that black people, it's not that non-white people have their neighborhood that's a problem that I've seen here in the U.S. It's that they've been contained and alienated and denied services, schools shut down, hospitals closed. That makes
yeah,
life. I mean, can you imagine, brother? Man, when I was growing up, we had trains on the south side, public transit. There were stops on the train. There were stations like every other block almost.
yeah,
Almost all of them are gone. There's only like two or three stations. So, man, if you don't have a car, you have a long walk. Good luck
yeah,
getting a job and getting there on time. Just it's
yeah,
hell. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm wondering if that's the same thing that's going on there in Sweden.
yeah. And it's actually very funny because yes, it is happening right now. Just in my suburbs. If I take my suburb as an example, it's
Which
quite
suburb is
similar.
that?
I live in Skärholmen. It's the
Huh.
southern part of Stockholm.
Mhm.
Uh, if I just take my suburb for example, because my suburb is similar to other suburbs in Sweden. Here in my suburb, they have closed two of the biggest banks in Sweden. They have also decreased the fixing the renovation of the houses and apartments. Uh, it's more like lots of concrete society, lots of gray, everything is like gray, it's all this like nothing new is happening. But there's of course some differences between Sweden and America. If there's like a pothole in here in Sweden, whatever in Sweden, it could be in the suburbs or anywhere else, they will fix it. That's not a problem. It's not extreme like in America, but we do see differences. Of course, for example, we get like the worst buses. For example, if you go into those, if you go into the city or like nicer places, you get like the best buses ever, new bus. But in suburbs, they're like the worst buses ever. They're like broken. They're like old. It's a disaster. Uh, and also we some places what I have seen, it happens that if you have a car and that what did you call that when paying for the parking?
Yeah, a parking lot, parking garage, or parking place.
No. When you pay a fee to park on that place, what do you call that machine?
What do you call it in Swedish?
Uh, Parkeringsavgifter.
So a parking meter.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
I've
See, I'm
seen that.
doing good, huh? Mitt svenska språket.
Yeah, I see it.
Absolut.
So basically, uh, in some places, I have seen these parking guards, for example, who's not checking if they have paid their fee for the parking fee. If they're like 5 minutes over the time when they're supposed to be there. I have never seen a parking guard over here in that place.
Hmm.
And that's funny. Sometimes, I mean, in other places in the suburbs where I live, sometimes they can come, but most of the times I never see them. And again, many things is closing down in Gursimer where I live, and it's very sad. But again, we have a working subway system, so for us it's not a problem. It's not extremely like in America. At least the buses and the train stops here, of course, and it's not so far away to the city. It's like 25 minutes away. I mean that's very short.
Yeah.
So we can live here, but then again, the suburbs need a renovation of how it looks like, and the jobs needs to be growing up here, and people need to be a part of the society because they feel like they are outside of the Swedish society right now.
Yeah, yeah. When I was there for Ultrasveria, man, we didn't. I wanted, at the time in 2013, there was some kind of uprising or something in
Oh yeah,
Husby,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I was like, man, I want to go there. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, we're like in the going to the Vasa Museum and the ABBA Museum and the Gröna Lund and all these pristine places,
yeah.
and I want to see where all these black and brown people living at,
They
cause,
are living
cause I
outside
was,
outside city.
yeah, see, and so I was, and I remember seeing we were in Gröna Lund,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of neat museums there, and I looked and I saw this dark-skinned black man pushing a shopping cart full of cans, and he was picking garbage, taking
yeah,
cans out of the garbage,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And I
Many of
said,
those many of those cleaning works are made by people who are like non-white. Many non-white people get those jobs, unfortunately.
yeah. And they seemed there's I noticed when I was there in a newspaper. I talked about this with the last podcast, and I'm gonna always talk about it, and I bring it up to you. And I should have showed you the picture, but I'll just describe it because you'll be like, yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. But there is a cartoon in some weekly newspaper. We were around Linköping, and it was a maid, not a maid, a cleaning woman mopping the floor, but the mop handle was stuck in the rear end of a black child, a tar baby cartoon, and she was mopping the floor with him, you
mm,
know. and it was like funny. This is supposed to be funny. You
Yeah.
see stuff like what's with that? You know what? Is that connected? Is that
Well,
related to what we're talking about?
well, I never actually thought about it, but that is very uh, wrong. I mean, the way you describe it, that's very wrong. Actually, I cannot understand how you can make a cartoon sketch out of that.
Yeah. And then when I would bring it up, I got the reactions were either like what you said, but then and on Facebook I got some hate messages, and they said, "Well, this you need to just lighten up. This is just humor. This is sarcasm."
Yeah, the most of the problem is that whenever you make a joke about people who are like non-white people, it. I mean, again, it depends on. For example, there is some disgusting cartoons, sketches on non-white people. It's feeling like they are coming from the colonial time,
Yeah.
and many Swedish white people are feeling it's no, it's just on a joke. It's funny, it's not racist. They are saying, but they don't understand it. They are not non-white people. Like for example, how the way how Asians are being portrayed in media. They say, "Oh no, it's just a joke. It's not racist. I'm not a racist. I'm anti-racist. Just as that is just a joke." But it is not a joke. For example, many Asians are experiencing lots of racism in the media
I've been
worldwide.
seeing a lot of that. I've been seeing a lot of that.
I'm sorry, actually, I can't really hear your voice because it's
Can you hear me now?
no, I can't hear. It's like giving some strange sounds.
Oh no. um, what about now?
No,
No, still broken up. Let
perhaps
me.
we have to restart the.
Yeah. Let's. I wanna, cause I don't wanna end. I wanna keep talking to you. All right. So let me hang up and try again. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to call you again because
Call
this
me.
thing.
Call me, please. Call me back. Hang up and call me back, please.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Trying back. One. Hey.
Again, it's the same problem here.
Oh, God. Do you have Skype? Do you have Skype?
Yeah, actually, I have said yeah.
Can can you tell me? I want to search for you on Skype.
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna open my Skype account. I actually rarely use it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you type your Skype account name on Facebook here?
Yes. Do you see anything from me?
Yeah. I'm just searching. Can you say something?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
No, the sound is clear now.
Now it's clear. Well,
Yeah.
uh, ding me here. Oh, I see you, and I'm gonna accept you just in case. So this will be our backup.
Yeah.
If it goes bad again,
Yeah.
we'll just switch. Cool. All right. So, man, I'm glad this is your off day, brother, because
Yeah.
um, shoot, where were we?
Yeah.
We were talking about the humor, the Asian slander going on.
Well, so basically, we call the Asian racism is the last racism in the world. Like in the beginning, it was like jokes against Jews, and then blacks, and then yeah, and the other uh, non-white peoples. Um, and today, the accepted racism is the jokes and the racism against Asians. It is a racism against since I was a child. I've experienced lots of racism and bullying just because I'm Asian.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about that.
Well, for example, when I was a kid, I used to hear lots of words like uh, "you're a curry-smelling person,"
Mm.
"you're some people call me Gandhi," you know,
Yep.
just for example, for black people, they would call them the N word, but if they wanna use a bad word for us who has a South Asian background, they would say Gandhi. That is like something to ridiculous us.
Mm-hmm.
So even it also has happened that some teachers have also made jokes about my surname, for example.
Hmm.
I mean, even adults. I mean, teachers are making sometimes jokes about their students. I remember my uh, what do you call them? Uh, Sports teacher, gymnastic teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Gym teacher.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, gym teacher. Exactly. I remember one time we had a new student in our class. He was actually from China, so sometimes he could make those ridiculous uh, fake Chinese accent voices.
Yeah.
He would say "xing shong" and such things to him. So I remember clearly that not just my friends made a fun of me, but even the teachers could make fun of us Asians.
Mm. Mm.
And that is because it's an accepted racism in the world. Not just in Sweden, but in the world, in the Western world.
How and how did you feel? I mean, every time that would happen to you and witness it, what went through your mind? How'd you deal with it?
Well, I was just basically irritated, but I could also, say something back to them. I would say swear words against them. I would like say fuck off, for example, or go to hell or something like that.
Yeah.
I would defend myself.
Did you get into fights?
Sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
it's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I used to fight all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hated it. I remember a boy. He used to call me nigger every day.
yeah,
I hated that, and I would go and tell my mom, "Mom, Anthony called me nigger again." My
yeah,
mother didn't know what to do. A white woman. She really don't know. She felt terrible for me. She's like, "Okay, honey, tell him that's not nice." And
yeah,
I'm not criticizing her at all. She did a great job,
yeah,
but
yeah,
um, it's just it affects you, man. I mean, it does damage to you.
yeah. Not just only to me, but many Asian youths. Actually, because of this, many Asian youths are ashamed of their culture and their background and their identity. Many of them just trying to seek other identities.
Wow.
I mean, that's seriously, the Swedish school is hurting Asian kids.
Wow. So you
Even
wait
in
a minute,
their,
wait a minute, wait a minute. Now you just said the Swedish school system is hurting Asian children. So that's a powerful indictment
Yeah, and
there.
I will
Yeah.
exactly, and I will
Talk
explain
about
for that.
that.
Yes, even the religious background as well, because what is happening is that in the school books, for example, you know those dharmic faiths, for example,
Uh-huh.
Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism. They are often there's lots of wrong facts about those dharmic faiths in the religious books and the religious lectures in school. And what is happening is that, for example, uh, many things that Hindus believe in many gods, and it's a polytheistic religion,
Polytheistic. Hmm.
polytheistic religion. But that is not true.
Mm.
Hinduism is actually a monotheistic religion. What is happening is that you're taking facts from British colonists' work, not from the people who actually are adherents to the religion of Hinduism, for example. Uh, Another example is that you don't read Sikhism at all in Swedish school, even though it's the fifth largest religion, even though there's more Sikhs in the world than there's more Jews, for example.
Mm.
There's basically 28 or 30 million Sikhs compared to 20 million Jews, for example.
Mm.
So why don't you read Sikhism in school? That is very strange for me. And the way how they have put the Swedish religion lessons it's very discriminating. Because why are you supposed to read about the Abrahamic religion since the grade, I think it's like grade 2 or 3, you're reading religions.
Hmm.
You're beginning with the Abrahamic religions, but you're excluding the Dharmic faiths. Why? Why am I so much about Christianity and other Abrahamic religions, excluding our Dharmic faiths? We began to read the Dharmic faiths, I think it was in grade 5th or 4th.
Mm. Mm.
So and even the teachers who teach us in religion are also have very wicked thoughts about us, the Dharmic faith. Some of them, I mean, for example, I have many times said, and this also happened in high school as well. And I remember I told many of those teachers that it is not true. Hinduism is not a polytheistic religion, it's a monotheistic religion. And I have proof of that as well. I could directly tell them which script it is. For example, where it says, it's some monotheistic religion, such things.
Mm.
Uh, and again, I'm also pointed out that I'm a chairman of the only Dharmic organization in Sweden
Mm.
who works for Dharmic youths. So how could I be wrong? And the teacher is like, right, that is wrong. I'm a chairman who works with the Dharmic faiths and the Dharmic youth. How could I be wrong?
Mm.
That's crazy. My experience are challenged just because I belong to a Dharmic faith. This is how racist this Swedish school system is.
Did they did it, I mean this is very disrespectful conduct on their part.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
This is very disrespectful conduct on their part.
Yes, of course. It is crazy. And many times I'm trying to have a dialogue with the Swedish education board, but they are failing us by not listening to us.
You know, as I was writing the script for Badin and the Secret of the Saami,
Yeah,
and I was researching Swedish history and the Saami, the Samerna in Sweden.
yeah,
Um, I was struck. In fact, it constantly happens, and I was struck with. I was just amazed that the the lack of discussion, the lack of mentioning anything to do with the Sami people in Swedish history.
yes,
their
Yes.
religion, their tradition. It's like they just were erased. And you telling me about what you're dealing with, uh,
Yes.
it was so similar. I was just like, well, that's
I was actually gonna say that. I was gonna say I we have lots of similarities with the Sami people struggle. At the same time as they are being like denied of their historic background from the Swedish state, which is quite shocking to be. I mean, Sweden is like a modern country. How can you deny a part of the Sami history, for example?
mm,
Anyway, uh, the same struggle they are facing is the same struggle we are facing. So we have lots of similarities with the Sami people. And I have lots of respect for the Sami people because the struggle they have been facing is almost the same as, for example, we Sikhs. Sikhs who are like initiated to the Khalsa order. We have five obligated things we wear. And one of them is a knife, a ceremonial knife. And it's the same thing with the Sami people. The Sami people also wear a ceremonial knife or a knife, whatever it is. And we have faced lots of discrimination because of that.
mm.
So again, we have lots of similarities between these two groups. So the struggle is the same, I would say. And when I read the book, and I could directly understand what it was happening, and I understand the struggle throughout the history. It's really,
So let's talk a little bit about that. You read the book, Badin and the Secret of the Sami, and you saw similarities with yourself, with the Sami. You saw a connection, almost like a triad there: the Sikh, Sami, Afro-Swedish. There's some kind of dynamic going on there. But talk more about the book and how it
yeah,
relates to you and your experiences and your activism.
yeah. So basically, what I felt is that uh, if I just take, I can't just take if I could say like this, the Sami people has been discriminated from the Swedish state for many years. That happens also to us Sikhs, but in India, I would say Sikhs has been facing discrimination under the Indian state many years. For example, genocides, which I also believe it happens as well in Sweden with the Sami people. There's also have been genocides, as I understand. So I understand these two people how they have been felt the oppression from a state. That's the way I can understand the Sami people. I can understand how they have been oppressed by state because that is what my people have been oppressed of. They have been oppressed by a state as well.
Mm,
Just because we look different, we are being oppressed.
mm,
And that's why I understand so much the Sami people, what struggle they are facing.
mm,
They're facing so much because there's so little resources against their identity, their culture. We need to save their historical culture and identity. Many Sami people are feeling the same way we Sikhs do. We're getting away from our beautiful, wonderful culture and background. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Why should we change ourselves because the state is oppressing our culture?
mm,
That's the way I understand the Sami people. That's the way I have a connection with them.
hmm, hmm. And and the what I found too is that and when we're talking about these things, and I want the listeners to know that you and I, um, we're Swedish, so
Yeah,
we want we don't want to tear it down. We don't want to tear the country down. We don't want to tear it apart. We just
exactly.
we just want to bring the truth out there so that we can have a dialogue, like you
Exactly.
say, and bring about a healing, a reconciliation. You know,
Yeah,
and for many years, the Swedish government sponsored, uh, experiments on the
Exactly.
Saami
Yes.
people, through the
Exactly.
1970s. And,
Exactly.
that there's archaeologists that have found evidence of Sami people in the southern half of Sweden.
Yes.
People don't just leave the south of Sweden to go to the north for no reason.
Yes. Exactly.
So, we gotta talk about these things, right? And what about how the Indian government treated Sikhs, and how did they handle, Amritsar and all of that?
Well, for example, to begin with, the Indian government has classified Sikhs, Buddhists, and Jain as Hindus, not as distinct groups,
Wow.
but they have given Christians and Muslims a distinct identity and a group in it. So, and they also not accepting the Sikh Marriage Act.
Wow.
Um, and again, what's happened in 1984, the Indian government's attack on this for this Sikh shrine, where many people were killed, and the ongoing years there was a genocide against Sikhs.
Mm.
Many women were raped, many Sikh children were killed, many Sikh men were killed just because they were Sikhs.
Mm. 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 So, we really need to look at history and be honest about it. Uh, Sweden has great potential to be. I hate to use great because in the United States we got somebody, this orange raccoon-eyed fella, and he
Yeah,
he's talking about make America great and all that stuff. Um,
yeah,
I don't know if you remember, but in the graphic novel, uh, the villain Eric Torsten, he claims he wanted to make the kingdom of Sweden great again.
yeah.
You know, and that I wrote that script before this fella, the orange raccoon fella, became president.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I didn't know that this would be a real thing going on nowadays.
Yeah. Surprise.
So tell me a little bit about who your favorite character is in the graphic novel, who you can relate to, or characters, and maybe something you took from the graphic novel as inspiration, or something that you learned.
Well, again, I would say I got lots of. Um, I felt like more connection to Badin as again because he felt himself as a stranger sometimes. Some of the white characters, those evil ones, if I remember right, they were like telling that dirty black
Yeah,
child. I don't know, something like
the
that.
monkey,
Uh,
and yeah.
yeah, exactly, something like exactly. I can understand the way what he was facing, the prejudice, and such things. That is why I felt more connected to Badin
Mm,
a lot.
hmm Well, I wrote him for you, and others like you and me, because
Yeah,
yeah, I just we always feel kind of on the outside. We're always on the outside. You know, we're never really gonna be accepted by them, but
yeah,
we contribute a lot. And
exactly.
and from what you've said, and I'm so honored to get to know you. From what you've said, you are really doing Sweden a great service.
Yeah,
You know, and and I think that even if you were just doing the jury thing, just being
yeah,
active in that in politics. If you can handle politics, man, I'm glad you can be in it.
yeah. Regarding my work in the Swedish court, I could also mention you. a thing that has happened there. One time we had three people who sitting as a jury. Um, One elderly Swedish jury man. He he actually, we had a case where it was like a Swedish Afro-Svensk. Uh, he was like convicted of having using marijuana, a weed.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but we found him not guilty, so we released him. Um, but the elderly Swedish man, he was very angry because he was so uh, convinced that he did take the weed. But we said no, we believe him. It is okay. He will get released and such things. So we released him. And after that case, sometimes we work as juries and the judge. We come together and talk, and it's talking the aftermath and such things. Just when I was going out from the court, I was gonna grab some coffee. And just when I went out, the elder Swedish man used the N word. He was like saying something. Oh yeah, that N word guy. I think he was using the weed. He was like saying that, and I was shocked. How could he use the N word in front of this judge? And the judge didn't do anything. They were like listening to him, and I was like super shocked. So I made a report about this and told about it to the authorities what happened. And I cannot accept that this man is sitting here and saying such words. Now I haven't seen him. I don't know, like maybe they fired him. I hope so, because I haven't not seen him for a while now. So I believe he was fired later on. And what I did directly after that, I wrote a debate article about that, and I talked about it. I could actually send you the link as well.
Yeah, please.
And I wrote clearly what happened, and that this is so wrong. You cannot have a German using such words and have that disgusting thoughts about other people like that. And if in like I don't know, like 300 people were sharing that debate article after that, they get some attention from people, and I was really happy. But then again, I received lots of hate comments as well.
Uh,
So I wasn't surprised as well.
was the majority
So
of the
yeah,
comments about your article positive?
I would say negative actually,
Ah,
but there were some positive comments as well.
right,
Sure,
right.
but many negative comments as well.
It's interesting, I remember reading an article in Aftonbladet when they announced the Altförsverige 2013 cast. So I was one of them, and some jerk commented and said, "Oh, he, I hope he, as far referring to me, doesn't think he's going to find his Somali roots in Sweden." I'm like,
Yeah,
well, first of all, my father's side is from West Africa, so and they go back to the 1700s and slavery. So I don't know what this person's talking about, but I knew it was a slight against me. It was a slur,
yeah,
and so I responded to it smartly. I don't remember what I said. And that often blood deleted my response, and they left that man's slur, you know. And
yeah,
I'm just saying that because I can really relate to you.
yeah.
Even though you're
Of course.
speaking up and doing the right thing, it seems like half of the people, more than half of the people, don't
Yeah,
care.
it's true. Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. I agree with you. There's no courage in some people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm just an ordinary person, but I take responsibility to the Swedish society. I have accepted the Swedish law. They should be followed by everyone. I'm not just following them. I live with them.
Yeah.
It is.
Hmm.
We have clearly said that we cannot discriminate other people, and we need to treat everyone equal. then everyone should follow that law.
You
I'm just an ordinary person again.
Yes. You are an extraordinary person, Gursimer, and I know that's against Swedish culture. I got to say you're a lagom extraordinary person. Um, but what you're doing, yeah, like I said, is so important. Just that little thing. If you weren't
Mm.
there, what would have happened? He would have been N word, N word, N word. Maybe he would have been back the next week.
Perhaps he could have been back. I mean, if I wasn't there,
Yeah, yeah,
perhaps he could have been convicted. The poor man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was perhaps the one who clearly said that this man is not guilty.
That's right.
And his story when he told about the situation, I believe him. Sometimes you can see a person lie, but he did not lie. I could see that. It was like an accident that it was like his friends putting some weed in the food, which he not uh,
Hmm.
saw it, and he didn't know about it, and that is totally understandable. So that's why I told that we should release the man,
And
and
he's
we did.
young. He's young too. He was very young, right?
Uh, the German or the black man?
Yeah, the man, the black man that was.
Oh, he was like in his 30s or
Oh,
40s or something
okay,
like
okay,
that.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. Uh, boy, he just wanted to punish him because of his black skin. That's what it sounds like to
exactly.
me. You
It
know.
sounds like that to me too. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And that and that's funny. I told you earlier that nominated by the Swedish parties, and unfortunately, there are some Sweden Democrats as well as Nazis who sitting as German as well,
Wow.
but they are very few. They are very few, I would say. So
So how can do you think that there needs to be more non-white Swedes in the jury system? Is there a lack? Is there a need for it? Is it you
it
know?
is a huge lack of them.
Ah.
I'm actually trying to convince some of the people in suburbs to become a German.
So you're
There's lots of
you're
lack of
trying
them.
you're actually trying to recruit. You're trying to say, come on, come on, come on.
Well, yeah, technically, yes.
Yeah,
Not just to be fair, I'm trying to help the Swedish justice system actually.
yeah,
It's not like I have a hidden agenda. I'm actually trying to help
that's
the
right.
Swedish system because we need a diversity, and they have clearly said that. The Swedish Justice Authority has clearly said that we need a diversity, not just in age, but as well as the backgrounds of
Yes,
different people.
yes.
That is what we call a democracy. And the funny thing is that in one case, I sat in one case where all of us, both us German, we had a foreign background, as well the secretary who writes on everything, he was also a foreign background, and the judge, actually, I thought he was like a white Swede, but funny thing was, he was actually a Finnish guy,
Ooh,
and Finnish people also face time to time many discrimination against from Swedes, so, but it was funny. That was the first case in my life that all of us had a foreign background, even the judge.
speaking of judges, are there any non-white judges in Sweden?
Well, I
Indian,
hope so.
Asian, African, whatever.
Not, I don't think there's no. I'm not sure. I mean, just in Stockholm, I don't think that. To be honest,
Wow, wow,
there's if there is, I would say it's very few of them. Extremely few of them.
wow. That's not good.
Yeah,
What about
but
lawyers?
then again, the judge is have one vote, and us three other German has also one vote.
Uh,
So basically it's the majority of us who will win. If we three German disagree with the judge, we will win the case. We will say, okay, we will do this. And if it's like 50-50, then it's the judge who will win for that.
How often do you do cases? How often do you sit in on cases?
Well, it depends on. Now in summer, I would sit in many of them actually. But
Oh,
I would say maybe 1 or 2 times per month. But in this summer, I'm sitting in many cases now actually.
wow. What about lawyers? What about lawyers? Are all the lawyers white in Sweden?
Well, I could say this. It's better diversity there.
Hmm.
I would say that many people from Middle East works as lawyers. I've seen, so it's a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, this has been such an enlightening conversation. So could you, we'll wrap it up. I mean, you've been very generous with your time. We're going into like almost 2 hours, and that makes me happy because I want to break this up into two parts.
Yeah,
And you know, I had this really good question, and I want to make sure I got this. Ah, so first question here that I want to ask you is this might be kind of like a religious question too.
yeah.
Do you have any regrets about your life there in Sweden? You know, you're a Swede, you're a foreign background, utlands bakgrund.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets there?
No, I don't have regrets. My background, but what I wish for, that I wanted to have a better life. I was again raised from poverty, and I wish I would never experience that again.
Experience
And I
the
wish that
racism.
nobody,
You talking about the racism?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I wish nobody would grow up in poverty because the way the system are.
Mm, mm, that's excellent. And then the second one, it's you could take it anywhere you want, but I want to
Yeah,
know what does your future hold? What should we expect to see from Gursimer in
that is
Sweden?
one question. That is one question I literally have very hard to answer. Actually, difficult to answer for me because again, I have no idea what's going to happen to me in the future. Uh, what is sure is that I probably will be continue to be in politics. I will try to advance myself in politics.
Mm.
That is for sure. But what's going to happen in the future, it's really difficult for me to answer that question right now.
So
But I guess that,
politics is in the future.
yeah, I guess that's something that is what I want to do, and I hope so it will work.
Well, I'm personally hoping to, in 10 years, I'm personally hoping to see Judge Gursimer Singh in the courthouse. Um,
Yeah, I also had that. I actually had that thought. Actually,
yeah,
that's very funny because I've also been thinking to maybe become a judge. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, you
Yeah,
got
I
more
mean,
votes as a juryman, right?
yeah,
But then you have more prominence. You could inspire more people from a
yeah. It's
higher position, right?
actually, I mean, it's I actually would have a nice title. I would be called the Judge Singh.
Yeah, domare,
Yeah,
right? Domare, is that
yeah.
right? Domare, domare.
But I prefer the English word. Actually,
You like judge, yeah.
I prefer the English one. Yeah,
Judge Singh. Do they have any
yeah.
reality judge shows out there in Sweden? Like court shows?
Uh, No, not like the Americans ones. Ours like a little bit more stricter ones. But you can come to listen to the course actually. That's public.
Yeah, yeah, we got that here too. That
Yeah,
is nice. That is nice. Well,
yeah,
man, I tell you, first of all, again, I want to thank you for reading my book
yeah,
and connecting with me that way, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And second of all, man, I really appreciate you tolerating my stalking you on Facebook and getting you to do this
yeah,
podcast. You know.
yeah. Thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. And is there anything you'd like to depart with on your own? Anything you'd like to share with the listeners?
There is one famous Sikh activist who challenged the Indian government for the disappearance of the Sikh males. He said one very great thing. There was a light in a very, very dark distance. That little light said, I will challenge the dark.
Mm,
That is what I intend to do. I will personally challenge the darkness
mm,
to
mm,
show that there is still good in the mankind. That
mm.
is what I want to say.
That is powerful, man.
Thanks.
well, I really admire you, brother. And I really hope in October that I get to see you, meet
Yeah,
with
I
you.
hope so. Really, I hope so.
And when I'm at the Museum of Ethnography, I'm hoping you can come by, and we'll be talking about Badin, and um,
Sure.
so it'd be a great honor to see you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the internet.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, Gursimer. Thank you, brother.
See you.
Okay, bye-bye. Hey, do. This little speck of light, Gursimer Singh, and those like him in Sweden, were born to challenge the darkness of white supremacy and fight for justice, regardless of whom or what. Truth is supreme, and knowledge of self is the scale upon which justice can be fairly decided. Like Badin of 200 years ago, Gursimer is a pioneer. His turban is a reminder not only to himself of his spiritual roots in Sikhism, but it is also a reminder to those who study history and behold Sweden's forgotten black prince, who also adorned himself in a turban. You've been listening to the second and final part of an insightful interview I had with Gursimer Singh. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss the next podcast. All social networking links and more information is at badinsecret.com. Last but not least, support the October book tour in Sweden. Yours truly needs to raise 14,000 US dollars in order to have plenty of books and pay for travel expenses as I go throughout Sweden during that month. Every contribution will get you a free digital PDF of Badin and the Secret of the Saami. For more information and to see other rewards, go to gofundme.com/Badin Secret. The Badin and the Secret of the Saami podcast is produced and edited by me, Eric Basir. Theme song by Shamis Hassanov. Be something greater than yourself.